Uh, it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you today, and I hope we are all having a nice day. Today, I want to talk about something very specific to human development. So today I'll be talking about developmental basics, and it would be basically on motor development. Now, I know we must have heard or learned or experienced or practiced something called development. Now, but the most common of all these developmental terminologies we have heard is developmental milestone. But there are lots of skills or lots of processes beyond developmental milestone. And that is where I am coming from today, and that is what I want to explain. How does a child from onset or from infancy gain skills or acquire necessary skills till adulthood and make these skills become functional? It is as a result of a lot of developmental processes beyond developmental milestone, which most of the time are not talked about. Today I'll be talking about them and explaining the relationships between them. So, to move forward, today I'll be talking about 3 sets of developmental terminologies or processes that are very important for a child to develop or acquire the necessary skills from infancy to adulthood. So today I'll be talking about the first one is developmental milestone, the second one is developmental sequence, and the third one is ontogenic pattern. Now, when we talk about developmental milestone, we know we have the cognitive development, the social emotional, the speech and language, and other things like the fine and gross motor skills. Now, when we pick the fine and gross motor skills, which is simply movement, picking up the pen is a fine motor skills, while walking, standing, running are gross motor skills. Now, what are the core motor developmental milestones? When we talk about the motor itself, what are the core milestones or developments? We have the neck control, the hip and trunk stability, sitting, we have crawling, sit to stand, standing, and walking. Those are the core motor developmental milestones. Now, that's the first of the 3 I want to explain. Now, the second one is ontogenic pattern. Now, what are ontogenic patterns? They are 8 patterns that has a link with the motor developmental milestones. And the link they have is that they find a way to grade each process that precedes a development and also a process that has a continual relevance to the development prior to the development of that skill itself. So in a nutshell, I'm trying to say that before a skill and after a skill. That is what ontogenic pattern is talking about. So what are these 8 ontogenic patterns? We have supine withdrawal, roll over, pivot prone, neck co-contraction, prone on elbows, quadruped, standing, and walking. Now, that's the second one. Now, when we talk about the third one, it is called developmental sequence. Now, what are developmental sequences? They are sub-stages that a child must assume before the next stage can become affirmed or confirmed. Let me put it in a literary word like that, or a literal meaning like that. So, what are these developmental sequences? They are 4. The first one is reciprocal inhibition. The next one is co-contraction. The third one is mobility superimposed on stability. And the last one is skill. Now, I said that there are relationships between these 3 developmental processes. Now, developmental sequence is something I will explain more broadly on because it links the 2 of them together. Now, what is reciprocal inhibition? Primarily, it's like a reflex, and it's majorly for protection. For example, you are in the bedroom and you want to fall down. Without being taught, you automatically stretch out your hand, which is a protective reflex. That is one of the examples of reciprocal inhibition. They help you, they protect you from sudden changes or stimuli from the environment. Now, what is And these movements are known as phasic movement, or very quick or fast movements, because it happens in a blink of an eye. That is why they are called reciprocal. Now, the next one is co-contraction. Co-contraction is like the opposite of reciprocal. What is co-contraction? They are stability functions. For example, you are working on a very tiny base of support, and you need to be stable so that you don't fall down. You need to maintain your balance. Co-contraction helps you in that. Okay, for example, I'm doing like this. This is a co-contractive movement of fine motor. But if I do like this is a reciprocal inhibition because it is very fast. That is just what I'm trying to explain between the two. Now, this is also a tonic or slow movement when we talk about reciprocal, when we talk about co-contraction. Like I did like this. It is slow because that is the stability you need. The stability from this stage to this stage to this stage to this stage. It is what co-contraction is talking about. Now, when we talk about the next one, which is mobility superimposed on stability, it is to some extent, in a literal word, it means heavy work. Now, what is mobility superimposed on stability? When you see children while crawling, what they are doing at that time is called heavy work, or mobility superimposed on stability. What are the stable joints? What are the mobile joints at that point of crawling? The wrist and the knee are stable so that the neck, the trunk and hip can move. And that is why you see children crawling. Now, when we go to the last one, which is skills or skill acquisition, that is the totality of the three previous developmental sequences that I've talked about. So these are the basics I want to explain about developmental terminologies or processes. And I hope you've been able to understand that all I have said in a summary is just talking about motor developmental milestone, motor ontogenic patterns or development, and motor developmental sequences. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.